We're gonna have a lot of fun today in music. So repeat after me. I can listen to and identify instruments of the orchestra by sight and sound. Hello, 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 and welcome to the music room. Hello, 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 and welcome to the music room. And stop and listen. Hi kids, it's Miss Marlar here. Today we're going to talk about the brass family, or the brass section of the orchestra. The brass family is made up of the trumpet, French horn, trombone, and the tuba. They're named brass because they're made of brass. Their early ancestors were made of wood, tusk, horn, and shell. If you think back to the first episode, the first lesson in this episode where we talked about all of the sections of the orchestra, you'll remember that we talked about the brass section. Here it is in green, and the brass section sits right behind the woodwinds in the orchestra. The first instrument we're going to talk about is the trumpet. The trumpet is the highest pitched member of the brass family, and though it has an energetic fanfare that sounds very familiar, the trumpet is also capable of great expressiveness and can play quietly and very softly in the orchestra as well. The trumpet sound comes from its shaped narrow metal tubing here, and also this curled, flared out bell. The player vibrates air from his or her lip into this cup-shaped mouthpiece. The trumpet dates back to ancient times, and some early trumpets were made of silver and bronze, and they were found in Egyptian tombs. Similar in shape and closely related to the trumpet are the bugle, the cornet, and the flugelhorn. Played like the trumpet, these instruments are more often seen in concert bands, military bands, and jazz groups. Next, we're going to talk about the trombone. The trombone is roughly twice as long as the trumpet and plays 1 octave lower. It's also a brass instrument with a long cylindrical tube, and it has a slide that alters the pitch. It can produce a range of sound from soft to mellow and bold and brassy. Because the trombone has this slide, a trombone player can bend the pitch or slide from one note to another. The trombone is known to have existed as far back as the 15th century. It's often called the heart of the orchestra because it fills out the harmonies between the high trumpets, French horns, and the low tuba. The French horn is a brass instrument easily recognizable by its distinctive circular shape and its large bell. Its mellow, rounded tone and brilliant upper range is an important voice in the orchestra. To play the French horn, the player forms an embouchure, which is a lip formation, to vibrate air through the lips as it is blown into the mouthpiece. The horn player changes the pitch and controls the sound by varying their lip and air speed and changing the position of their hand, which is inside the bell. The French horn's earliest ancestors were hunting horns. If you remember Peter and the Wolf, the character that was represented by the French horn was the wolf. As the largest and lowest sounding member of the brass family, the tuba's huge brass tubing bends around, beginning at the mouthpiece and ending at this large flared bell that points straight up. Its role is crucial in providing the bass notes for brass chords and for its ability to add support to the lowest sounds in the orchestra. Though large in size, the tuba can still play fast notes and light, airy melodies. The tuba's wide range and great flexibility often surprise and entertain its listeners. So that's it for the brass section. The brass family is made up of the trumpet, the French horn, the trombone, and the tuba. The instruments of the brass family are often heard in climactic musical moments. Their bold, heroic statements add color and excitement to the orchestra. If you'd like to further your knowledge about the brass section of the orchestra, you can again go to Quaver Music and visit those student interactives. If you click on Student Interactives and then click on Instruments and Knowledge here on the left, scroll down to where you see Orchestral Brass, and you'll see this interactive. And on this site, you will be able to actually play the sound and hear the sounds of the instruments that we talked about today, the trumpet, trombone, tuba, and French horn. And you'll be able to see the different parts that we talked about in today's lesson, such as the mouthpiece and the valve keys and the bell. So if you'd like, check out this interactive, listen to the different sounds, and see how many of these parts that you can name. All right, kids, well, that's all for now. I hope that you are enjoying learning about these different instruments. Stay healthy, and until next time, take care. Thank you for coming to music today. Everybody, thank you for coming to music today. And stop and listen.